Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the My Love of Golf podcast. Today is a special interview edition of the My Love of Golf podcast where I have on the line, sitting in Chelmsford, UK, Jasper Miners. Now, if you don't know that name, Jasper Miners, you will after this interview. Jasper is the man behind a sensational new golf website and specifically focused on golf architecture, and he's going to take us through it, take us through the journey of Evaluating.com in just a second. So there's another interview all the way from the UK. Jasper Miners, sit back, relax, enjoy this interview, the My Love of Golf podcast. Jasper Miners, welcome to the My Love of Golf podcast. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problems at all. Now, in my introduction, I referred to you as the man behind Evaluating.com. That seems like the appropriate title. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't think of anything better, so I guess we'll go with that. Yeah, it's been a bit of a passion project, but that we'd bring it to a wider audience, and hopefully more and more people can benefit from it.
Well, hopefully I can help spread some of that word to the listeners here in Australia. So the My Love Golf podcast is widely listened to in Australia, but also around the world in other parts. So hopefully we can help you with that. Now, Evaluating.com. Can you help me spell it out? EVALU, the number 18, and then .com. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
So tell us about it. What is Evaluating.com?
So Evaluating.com is it's essentially a website that helps you find good golf, great golf, at the moment, UK and Ireland. But we evaluate golf courses architecturally. So that's where the name comes from, Evaluating. So evaluation and 18 holes of golf. So that was the branding behind it. The idea, though, is that we help individuals find golf courses on perhaps a different set of parameters than a typical website or book that you would find.
Now, the website was launched, just a couple of weeks ago? Is that correct?
A couple of weeks ago. That's right, yeah.
And it immediately drew my attention because, I'm still recovering, I guess, emotionally from my holiday to Scotland, which my listeners knew that I went to Scotland and I played quite a bit of golf. And I saw Evaluating.com and I saw some of the features there and I thought, oh, wow, this is perfect for anyone who is planning a trip to UK, Scotland, England, Ireland, and planning a golf trip and wants to get a really quick overview and insight into pretty much all of the golf, not all of the golf courses, but I guess the golf courses that you guys have put on there. Is there a criteria for the courses that have made it onto Evaluating.com and the map, which, you can help me describe the map, but, is there a sort of structure behind that or what is it? How have you picked those courses?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be quite honest, it started off, I would travel around in the UK and I had 3 books that I would carry with me. Tom Doak's Confidential Guide, Donald Steele's books on the links, and then Frank Pennick's book, Homes of Sport. And based on their recommendations, essentially, as I was traveling around the country, I would stop in at various places. So we started to keep a list of courses that we felt were good golf courses. I had a simple map that had them pinpointed. Then as our insight grew, we started to come across, portfolios of courses. So Tom Simpson, Abercrombie's. So we started to do research based on perhaps architects who have been involved in various bits and pieces, Old Tom Morris, that type of thing. So taking the available information that had been available obviously on the internet, but also in a lot of these older books written during the Golden Age and onwards, taken that information, distilled it down, and then have tried our best to interrogate that information and produce a short list, really, of golf courses which we think we would enjoy playing. And that's how we've come with the ones that are on there. It's not a definitive list. Some will be added as we become aware of them, find some more hidden gems. But we feel that the courses on there represent a good cross-section of what represents good golf here.
And there's not really a direct relationship to any top 100 guides or anything like that, is there? Or is there?
No, and that was intentional, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
We felt that there was enough magazines and websites trying to rank golf courses. And I guess that was the motive behind it all. We've got courses that you probably won't see on any list or any other website. You mentioned Scotland. So, for example, at St. Andrews, you have a lot of people that will go and play the old course or attempt to. And they're standing beside Himalayas at the ladies' putting green. And they never go, but it's one of the places that you should go. It's just part of the whole experience. King Garrick as well.
For Hickory golf.
Play Hickory's the way. Yeah. 25 minutes from St. Andrews. Brunsfield Links, the short course, right in the middle of Edinburgh, costs nothing to play. It's literally, in a village green, cut holes. It's just a bit of fun. And even Musselburgh Old, open venue, and sat around a race course, and absolutely brilliant. It's just a history lesson, and the history is palpable. But those are the types of courses. Obviously, we have the big course, but we also have a lot of the little ones that you probably just drive past and not think anything of. And that's what we're trying to do, is basically just give you a cross-section, make these things aware to individuals who are coming.
So is it just you alone, or do you have a group of guys and girls that are contributing or helping contribute to your groupings or your lists of the courses that you'll find on evaluating.com?
Yeah, so at the moment, it's as far as the development of the site, we've got one fellow that works on the development side. It's quite good. My partner, she's very, very good at marketing and branding, so she's helped with that. The website itself is it's really a reflection of her design ethos, which is good.
That's beautiful.
That's been a real help,
and it's beautiful too. And pass on congratulations to the young lady.
Yeah, will do. She'll be happy to know. As far as other contributors, we've got an ardent community really of architecturally inclined individuals that appreciate these types of things, I guess, and the type of golf courses that that aren't necessarily on lists. So we've got a few good follows perhaps on Twitter that that we work with. We know. We respect their opinions, and they help us and guide us and make recommendations for us. So there's a handful. There's quite a few actually. There's quite an active little group that we've got that gives us constant feedback.
So Jasper, how does a young man like yourself end up with this deep passion for golf and quality golf architecture? Where did this come from?
It's a bit of an interesting one. I played a lot of golf growing up in Canada. I played on some of the larger resort courses, that would grace the covers of glossy magazines. And then somehow, in my late teens, early 20s, basically fell out of love with the game. So later on, business took me to London. And when I was here, an old mate came and visited me. And he said, why don't we go out and hit some balls? After going out, kind of rekindled the passion. I started playing some of these golf courses in North London that no one's ever heard of. And somehow, my love for the game grew again, rekindled this passion. And that was the question that really kicked it all off, is how could I be playing some of these, amazing golf courses in Canada that are on the covers of magazines, and they don't inspire me. You played them once and that's enough. Mm-hmm. And then I come to what would be considered backcountry, unknown golf course, and I'm completely intrigued and enthralled with it. And that's what really, searching for the answer as to why, that's what kicked off my interest in golf course architecture.
So did you have an interest in any other form of architecture or any other design? Do you come from that background, or was it just golf and you just like the quality architecture and, what you found in discovering these courses all around the land?
I would have to say later in life, I think I grew an appreciation for good design.
Yeah.
Whether that's art or buildings or any other form of art, really. And that's, my view on it, that's essentially what it is. Just a different type of art form, and architecture really is just the way in which the designer can convey his thoughts, overcome problems, create challenges. So I did work, one of the companies that I owned and ran was a visual merchandising company. So I guess in that way, both in Canada and then in the UK, was involved heavily with design and grew in an appreciation for it. But I think studying architecture, in particular golf course architecture, to understand the reasons why, what makes golf good, that's the intriguing bit for me.
So if you had to articulate to you what makes golf good in an architectural sense, how would you tell me that, and how would you describe that?
So it's probably been overused, but I think one word that comes to mind is cerebral. So I think too many golf courses, it's too straightforward. And it's just hitting it in the middle of the fairway to the middle of the green, two putting, and then going on. But when a golf course presents challenges, so for example, St. Anadoc, the church course, hole 10, the tee shot, it looks impossibly small, but you have to hit a driver on that hole till you get it anywhere near, to give yourself an opportunity to go for the green on the second. It's an incredibly terrifying hole, but actually once you play it, you get around that corner, you see that there's loads of room. So mentally you have to overcome the challenge of not being psyched out really by what you see. The inherent unfairness of golf, good golf, uneven lie, bad bounces, but as well the other side of the coin, good bounces. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that really makes golf good for me is the elements. Simply being prone to, I guess in the UK, 4 seasons over the course of a couple of hours. The ground game, elements, wind, rain, whatever it might be, just that challenge. Those are the things, I guess, the challenge of the game that makes it stand out to me.
Now, the golfers in Australia that I talk to, and I talk to golfers on a daily basis in my business and what I do, there is a growing obsession for links golf. And as people discover golf travel and traveling to places like Scotland and Ireland and Great Britain and England, there's a real driver to want to go and play links golf. And I guess I always feel that they want to tick off the open rotor courses and things like that. But from my experience, there is so much great links golf available that, as you say, people have never heard of. If you had to identify an area or a part of any part of the UK that you must go to and experience some big courses, but not so big courses, which part would you send someone to from Australia?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think one place, well, I'll give you two.
Okay.
One place that's extremely underrated is Cornwall.
Right.
So basically from London straight down the M4 towards Wales. I mean, Wales itself is also a good destination, but in England you can't go wrong. Just south of Bristol, I mean, you come across Burnham and Barrow straight away, and both the championship course and the little 9-hole course are worth playing there, which is a nice thing. Just south of there, You've got St. Enodoc, which is probably one of my favorite golf courses. It's absolutely breathtaking and perhaps off most people's radar. You got Royal North Devon, which I guess is, probably one of the more popular courses. Westward Ho, I guess, as it's known. As far as links course go, Bute in North Cornwall, you just continue down that whole road. And you've got course after course after course. Trevose, Perranporth is a really interesting James Bray design. Just on and on and on. You can literally start from Bristol, drive towards St. Ives, and there's golf courses constantly just on that coast. It's extremely underrated. So that would be my first one.
Yeah, right. Well, it's certainly not, when people are planning trips, they're not very often going to England to play golf. Maybe to play, Lytham, Royal St George's and the Rota courses, but St Enodoc, you know when someone mentions St Enodoc that they're a real architecture aficionado when they're talking about that course there, and it's one of the more popular ones. But but that's not an area that I would have put on my sort of go-to list. So it's on there now. Thank you to you. Where else?
Yeah, you won't be disappointed. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. Where else would you go?
And then, the second place, if you're talking about England, I think, is if you're starting out from London, the brilliant bit is that you can go to Royal Worlington, so Mildenhall, absolutely brilliant 9-hole course, very similar to the old course in Scotland. If you're coming from London, stop there before you make it to the course. And once you get up north to the Norfolk coast, you've got Hunstanton, you've got Royal West Norfolk, Sheringham, Cromer. And if you follow that around all the way down to the Suffolk coast, beautiful drive, you get into Purtis Heath, Ipswich, and you've got Woodbridge and Aldborough. So, literally a handful of courses there. That would be a very nice little trip for people to do. And then, of course, Thorpeness is right beside it. So you've got probably 7 or 8 courses there that you could probably do over a week or two. It's thoroughly enjoyable, off the beaten track. It is literally world class.
So let's move up to Scotland then. You've got 4 days in Scotland, and you don't want to drive around too far. Where do you go?
I guess if you're flying into Edinburgh, you've got a couple of choices. You cannot beat East Lothian, so basically heading straight out east from Edinburgh. If you do go across the bridge and up to Fife, you've got loads of options there. And to be quite honest, I think for most of your listeners in Australia, it's not so much distance when you're in Scotland, but the roads that you have to navigate, as you would know. But I guess a little bit. I would say Musselburgh Old, if you want a bit of an odd one. It's routed around a race course, but well worth going to. It's an experience. If people are looking for experiences, that's one. Interesting, if you can get to any of the courses up there. You've got the traditional, you've got the Gillen courses, you've got Muirfield, North Berwick. Those are the ones that jump out at you straight away. But even if you can't get to those ones, there's some sensational golf all along there.
So did you play at Winter? The course in Dunbar, the other course in Dunbar, not Dunbar, but Winter. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
So I haven't made it up that far. I've been as far as Aberdeen.
It's just near in East Lothian. So North Berwick, then across to Dunbar. So if you go around, not Nairn Dunbar, which is right
the actual Dunbar golf course. Yeah,
but there's another course next to Dunbar which I never got to play. And I can't remember the name of it. It starts with W, Winter something. I forget it. So I've gone blank. You didn't, obviously, Okay, forget about that place.
I've not been been there, but that is definitely one we'll put on the list now. We'll search it out. We'll take a look at it. We'll see. You might be surprised. It might show up on Evaluate Teams.
It's just the other side of Dunbar, between North Berwick and Dunbar. I'm very familiar with that. Oh, no, I'm obviously not. I'm familiar with all the courses around there, but I just spent 3 weeks there, but I didn't get to that course, and I was wondering if you had, and you could tell me about it, but maybe we'll talk about that one next time. Craigie Law. I'm an international member of Craigie Law. There you go. There's a bit of information for you.
Craigie
Law Golf Club, next to Kilspindie.
Oh yes, yeah.
Which is Donald Steele. Is that correct? Donald Steele. Was he the man there? I think that's a Donald Steele course at Craigie Law. Nice little course.
Have to double check on that one. Off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure. I mean, Donald Steele. I mean, talk about a legend. To be quite honest with you, I don't think there's too many golf courses that Mr. Steele hasn't worked on.
Well, he's either
consulted on.
Yeah, he's built or consulted on. I think if you look through his bibliography of courses that he refers to as, having had some hand in, it's 2 pages long.
Yeah, I think he has the rare distinction of having worked on, I think, every single open rota course that's there. So, I mean, absolutely stunning. The amount of work that he's done and consulted on is absolutely unbelievable, unfathomable. I mean, it rivals even like the Donald Rosses and the James Braids. It's incredible, and to think that it's not just a design, but also a writing career and a playing career that anyone would be happy with. Yeah, he's a phenomenal individual, Mr. Steele.
So you're obviously a fan. Who are the other architects that? And let's leave Dr. Mackenzie out of it for the moment. But who are the other architects that either past or current that you look up to?
So I would say, bar none, Tom Simpson is probably my favorite architect. The courses that he worked on, the bunkering that he did, and his ability to astutely and concisely explain strategic golf design. You read the architectural side of golf, any of the writings that he's done. Tom Simpson is absolute genius, and probably not that well known outside of the UK unless you're a diehard architectural fan. Probably along with that, J.F. Abercrombie. Again, his portfolio is not large. Most of his work is around London, which is very convenient. But yeah, he's very good as well. Just the type of architecture that they did. I guess perhaps I can look at it and think that I can understand it or see what they're trying to achieve. And that's always a nice thing when you walk a golf course, play a golf course. You can understand the questions that are being asked. But I think those two stand out to me, Simpson and Abercrombie, from what I've seen around London.
And any other more contemporary architects that pop to mind?
I think locally, I haven't played a whole lot in Ireland, but what I have seen from Eddie Hackett has been really good. Mm-hmm. That's again, I think outside of Ireland, probably not, extremely well known.
What's Eddie Hackett's courses in Ireland? I've got a funny feeling that I've played one of them, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so the one I thought was really good, we spent quite a bit of time there actually, was Connemara. So basically Galway, and then you've got two courses there, Galway Bay and then Galway Golf Club. And they will take probably the lion's share of tourism golf along the Wild Atlantic Way. But if you can get out to Connemara, they got three sets of 9, I believe, 27 holes. The first two are extremely good. I really enjoyed them. Contrasting 9s. I think if you can play the A and the B, those are the ones you want to go with. He's not too bad either. But it's pure, authentic golf. And he's not afraid to basically take some really interesting landforms, and he doesn't shy away from incorporating those into the course, which is really good. So it's not just flat land links. He does go up into the dunes a little bit. But it's a spectacular golf course. Again, off the beaten track, peanuts to play, difficult to get to, but worth the journey.
How far is Connemara from Enniscrone?
That is a good question.
Have you played Enniscrone?
Yeah, travel. I've never made the journey myself.
Right.
But not along the coastlines in Ireland. Nothing goes quick. Even the travel from Galway to Connemara is it's a bit of a trek. It's not long on the map, but it certainly takes a fair bit of time.
Well, the roads,
that whole side.
The roads are also narrow and windy. Like they wouldn't.
Yeah, and then the pedestrians, usually the sheep.
Yes,
that's the other thing you have to worry about.
Yeah, no, it caught me when I was in Ireland. To be fair, I was travelling from where was I travelling from? Lahinch down to Tralee, and I looked at the travel time or the distance, and I thought, no, it's only a couple of hours, and it was much longer. And there was a fair bit of freeway there, but once you get off the main A roads, the little B roads, they're not wide by any stretch. Did you make it down there?
And I think that's...
Sorry, go on.
Absolutely. If you can find it and you can make it, then it's well worth it. But it's all part of the experience too. I think more and more that's what you're seeing in the golf world as well, is that people they're interested in not just ticking boxes anymore, the top 100 lists, but experiencing golf. And that's part of it. You've been on a golf course, especially over this way, it's not rare. Some of these courses, you've got, barbed wire fences around the greens, to keep the cows off.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a completely different type of golf, but refreshing.
One of my favourite golf experiences of all time, bar none, maybe outside of Lahinch, but outside of that was Critch Island. Did you make it to Critch Island? I
haven't been, no.
So it's a little nine holer on a little island in County Donegal. It's like a one-lane bridge out to this point. It's on your site there, but it's if you're in Ireland and you're in Donegal, you have to go to Critch Island. It's got this very famous par 3 over, 100-foot chasm drop into the Atlantic Ocean. It's about an 8 or 9 iron, and it's just one of the most sensational little par 3s over this double crevasse, waves crashing in below you, and you just have to go and experience that part of the world. Now,
and that's exactly what the website is all about. Exactly that. Finding those little gems. You can play all the big courses, and they're great. There's no doubt about that. But finding these little ones, these little experiences that no one else has known about or seen, that's what we're trying to do.
We'll come back to the website in a minute, but let's go to Dr. Mackenzie. Now, you're, I think, a big fan of Dr. Mackenzie. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Outside of the UK, I've not played a lot of his golf courses, obviously, not been to Australia. But obviously study his courses, especially in California. And then we have the privilege every year to see what's left of his course in Augusta. So, but the bones there, absolutely stunning.
How influential do you think Alister Mackenzie's been on, the modern form of golf, modern architecture? How would you describe that?
That's a loaded question. I don't know if I'm the most qualified to answer it, but from my perspective, my opinion,
that's all.
I think the legacy of golf that he left, and really not that he was one of the first to bring golf inland, but the transition from Victorian, penal golf course design, and then introducing perhaps a natural aesthetic to what is inherently, bringing seaside golf inland and then making it look like it's meant to be there. It certainly wasn't the first one to do it, but perhaps one of the ones that perfected it early on. So I think golf owes a lot to Alister Mackenzie in that regard. But I think too, even more so now, a lot of the contemporary golf course designers that have found inspiration from the golden age have done so from Alistair Mackenzie's works, in particular his writing. So perhaps from the late 80s, early 90s onward, when these people started looking at golf architecture again, like his book, Spirit of St. Andrews, started looking at his portfolio. I mean, this is influence. I mean, no small way. Mike Clayton, Tom Doak, and then by extension, their work and the subsequent individuals involved with architecture. I mean, I don't think anyone can dismiss the fact that his hand is still being felt in a very real way, not just in golf architecture, but golf as a whole, as an industry.
Yeah, well, you refer to Mike Clayton and Tom Doak there, and absolutely, those guys hold in obviously the highest regard his work, but they always are referring to his intentions, and especially when they're critiquing bad architecture, and they just refer to, Mackenzie would have, that's what he intended to do, and he should have been like that, and they've gone on a different direction or whatever, so the reference usually always comes back to a Mackenzie type body of work. So obviously know Mike Clayton.
Absolutely.
You know Mike Clayton. You know of Mike Clayton, of course.
Yeah, know of Mike Clayton. We've chatted a few times via social media, that type of thing. He's got some exciting news. Obviously, there's a new direction he's taken.
Yep.
Working with Mike DeVries and Frank Pont.
Yep.
So it's quite exciting for him. They're going to do some work here at Royal Dublin. I believe it is in Ireland. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see a bit more of him. Be able to put a face to the name at some point.
Yeah.
But nothing but respect for the work that he's done. I mean, obviously, in your part of the world, he is the local legend. He's the man that is.
If you ever get the chance to listen to him on, whether it be Derek Duncan's Feed the Ball or the Good podcast or Inside the Ropes podcast, all Australian generated podcasts. Well, Derek Duncan's not Feed the Ball, but he's crafted almost a career being a podcast co-host, and he is one of the most entertaining guys to listen to, and he cops a bit, like usually from people not really following what his architecture is designed to do, but he'll joke with himself and call himself the tree killer type thing because he's known for pulling trees down, but I'm a beneficiary of some of at a course where he's worked upon, and the trees that he's taken away were of little significant value, didn't contribute to any of the aesthetic of the course, and enhanced it by taking away unnecessary maintenance. So, and opened up the vista of the course and made it an even more beautiful landscape. So he's very considered in what he does in that respect, but he's quite a very good listen.
Absolutely,
he's a very good listen. Anyway,
yeah. No, I have had the privilege of being able to listen as I have time to a lot of what you've mentioned.
Yeah, good.
I think that's the thing that we really appreciate. I mean, both him and Tom Doak, prolific, I guess you could say, especially on social media, podcasts, that type of thing. But also the fact that the ability to articulate so well and put into layman's terms for us normal folks. What's being attempted to be done. It just brings another dimension to the game, really. So again, going back to that, just the cerebral part of it.
So let's go back to the website. So where does it go to from here? So you've got this great website, and what are the different sections? So tell the listeners what the sections are, the main sections of the website. What is it? Each of the pages in the drop down. What have you got there?
So when you hit the landing page, you've obviously got the green at the hinge, which is a nice start. But what we've done is we've created an interactive map. So this is quite a nice way to get started. So if you're in the UK, on a mobile device, it'll show you basically where you are if you allow the permissions. Locate where you are, and then basically you can see what golf courses are nearest to you that would be worth your time and attention. So that's quite a nice feature. If you're planning a trip to the UK, you mentioned Scotland or say Cornwall, Norfolk, Suffolk, we've got some unique filters. So on the interactive map, you can search by architect. So for example, I know I'm a Simpson or an Abercrombie fan, so I can search for those architects, find the courses nearest to me. Locations, so you can do it by county, course facilities, course type. So whether you want a heathland, a moorland, parkland, links, interesting ones that probably you wouldn't see on any other website, game format. So in the UK, it's quite popular still to be 2-ball club, especially some of the older clubs, the Royal St. George's and the Brandcasters, that type of thing. And then one that I like, I carry my bag. I will do as long as I can. Carry a Sunday bag with a short set, but walkability. So a lot of golf courses in the UK don't allow carts, or you need medical dispensation to use them. So having a walkability guide, whether it's easy, moderate, or difficult, that's been a nice addition as well.
Mm-hmm. And what about there's some other key neat little features in the website there. The collections tab. That's
collections. That was an interesting one. We shied away essentially of making a ranking. Everybody loves a ranking, and to be honest, so do we. Which course is best, which one's better than another. And I guess the best part about rankings from our point of view is it encourages discussion, conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it. But we thought everybody else is doing that. Let's do something slightly different. So we thought, why don't we group the courses based on identifiable markers? So, for example, your bucket list. Now, these are the ones that probably when you come to the UK, Ireland, you're going to want to play. So you've got Carnoustie, the old course, Muirfield, North Berwick, Lahinch. The list goes on and on. So all the big ones, top of the list, the bucket lister, tick boxers, they're all going to be in there. So that's a nod to that. But then we decided to take a bit of a different tack. So once you've played Muirfield, where do you go next? So we've got a course next door collection. So essentially, once you've played the big course in the morning, and you're wondering where you go next, then those courses are included there. And it just goes on and on. We've got the hidden gems, probably a bit of a common one that most people would understand. Yeah. But pure golf is one I really like. So this is uncomplicated, authentic links, or proper golf, as we would call it. Just the spirit of the game, going back to the origins. So these ones, well, you would find, Minchinhampton, for example, is an absolutely brilliant golf course. Minchinhampton Old. Find courses like that in there. So probably a little bit different than what you'd find. The antithesis of resort golf, if you will, would be in there.
It's absolutely brilliant. I love what you've done there, and it's perfect for anyone traveling. It's just a easy, ready reckoner guide that will map out a trip for you perfectly. Like the course next door collection. There's a picture there of North Berwick on there, and it's absolutely brilliant, mate. It's my hat goes off to you. It's fantastic. But there's more.
No, we're glad. We didn't know exactly how it was going to be received.
No, it's
completely different tack than any other golf course website has taken. But it seems like there's been a bit of an appetite for it. So yeah, we're happy that we've stumbled upon that, and it seems to have been received well, which we're proud of.
Well, it is perfect, and whether you like or loathe, top 100 rankings, it's a totally fresh and new approach to it, and it offers a lot of value. It's really good. I love it. Now, there's some other stuff in there. There's books. The list of books that you've put in there related to golf architecture, agronomy, and so on and so forth is extensive. Have you read every one of those books that's on the list? Probably. Yeah.
So that is more or less from my private library. All the books that are there. So yeah, I have read virtually all of them cover to cover, if I'm honest. I mean, there are a few that I flick through, or perhaps some that have only a couple of chapters that specifically deal with golf course architecture. But a lot of them are reference books. What's interesting to me is when I started reading or have this interest in golf course architecture, I would have a book recommended, I would buy it and then end up finding out that there's 2 or 3 pages on it and you spent a ridiculous amount of money on it. And I just thought, if I've gone through that pain threshold, maybe I can share that insight with others, and hopefully they don't have to go through the same thing again.
Once again, it's a brilliant move, and to know now that you have actually read all of those books and own them all. Is the picture on there with the book and the books in the library? I'm going to assume that that's your little book library there, yeah?
Just at the top of the page.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a portion of it. The bookshelf. Those are most of those that you see there. I think what we refer to as sacred texts is what we've tried to do. Absolutely. So we've shortlisted perhaps.
And there's a little section on greenkeepers there, and as we discussed before, that's probably going to grow. The journal tab. What's in the journal tab there? What did I look at that? That's the journals. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
that's it. Yep.
The various pages there. There's obviously bios on architects,
yep.
Short synopses of books. Businesses focus on the smaller, more crafted type of businesses, not the large, big box kind of multinationals, but smaller guys that are focus on bespoke craftsmanship, workmanship. I try and highlight some of those. Greenskeepers, again, unsung heroes. The guys in the game that do all the work. They're there hours before any of the dew sweepers show up. And just to give a little bit of a nod to them, you'll find even on most of our course profiles too, we're trying to put a keeper of the green on there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I've had one podcast with Mitchell Driver. Mitchell Driver has worked at courses all around the world. Young guy, just taken over at Royal Canberra, just come back from working at Glen Eagles, and he was my first greenkeeper, and we've got another one coming up very shortly. So absolutely, my brother is the greenkeeper of my family, so I'm always going to have a soft spot for greenkeepers in talking about golf. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So, mate, where to from here? You've got this beautiful website. It's providing a lot of information to people. Is it just a free resource? Or, is it going to be?
At the moment, yeah. It basically started out as a bit of a passion project. Like I say, I had a map with pins on it. I shared it with a few of my mates. They enjoyed having the resource, and they said, look, if more people could benefit from this, why wouldn't you do it? And I just didn't have time to plow into it. Circumstances recently, the last year or so, I've had a bit more time. So I thought now is the time to do this. So at the moment, yeah, we haven't monetized the site. To be quite honest, we're just happy that people have appreciated what we've made available. We're confident that if we do things for the right reasons in the right way, that opportunities will present themselves. So where to from here? In time, we would love to expand the site. For me, I live here locally, so this is a great resource for me. But as we mentioned before, I'd love to come to Australia, New Zealand, to be able some of the courses. And the same problem that I've had here, I'm encountering there. Where is a reliable guide? So perhaps additional countries in time that will come. At the moment, though, we're working a lot with just contributors and the courses themselves to try and pad out the information we have, make sure it's accurate, and then just to get some nice photography that really sells the course to those that are planning on their trips coming over.
Fantastic. Well, when you're in Australia, when you do come to Australia, and I know you will, and hopefully it's not too far away, I'm here to help. Whatever I can do in the Melbourne part of the world and Victoria part of the world, just all you need to do is sing out. And I'm sure there's going to be dozens of people that want to help and contribute towards putting an Australian arm of that beautiful website together. But that's all in the future. Jasper, is there anything else that I haven't asked you or we haven't spoken about that you feel that the listeners will get some value from, and also if you share this podcast, that your listeners and your fans and followers will get some information about? Have we covered everything? Have I done justice to evaluating.com?
Yeah, I really just appreciate the opportunity. It's a brilliant. It's been a labor of love for us. So for me in particular, and then with my wife, put in a lot of time and effort in as well, just to know that some people have sat up, noticed it and appreciate it. That's great. The biggest thing I think I've found I've been overwhelmed with is the golf community at large. Just as you said, if there's anything that they can do, helping hands, invitations, opening doors, whatever it might be, that's kind of the best thing. And where we can collaborate, we've met some amazing people, and the fact that we've been able to work together, hopefully we can just keep that spirit of collaboration, partnership going. And we'll just see where it goes. But we're excited about a few things, irons in the fire, if you will. And then we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, things are shaping up nicely. But it's a brilliant thing to be a part of.
Now, the golf community is a good one, and it's opened my eyes in the last 12 months since doing this podcast. How open and welcoming people are. They will be welcoming to you. In my recent trip to Scotland, people like Malcolm Duck and another chap who I didn't know, was able to host me at Muirfield, and it wasn't a bother, and it was great. And, that's bucket list sort of stuff, but it was just the spirit of the community that was able to allow that to happen. And that's happening for you. It'll happen for you down here in Australia. We'll all get behind you and look after you, mate. It's all perfect. So if there's nothing else, Jasper, I think we might wrap it up there and sign off for your morning, my night in the UK. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. Really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for the time you've given, and hopefully everybody can benefit from what we've done. We'll continue to try to do more.
Jasper Miners, thank you very much for joining me on the My Love of Golf podcast. So we'll put the links in the show notes on the podcast page there, how you can find you on Twitter, how you can find you online, evaluating.com, and everyone will start flooding you with website visits, and your ranking will go up, and you'll be the number one golf website in no time at all, I'm sure, mate. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll speak to you all next time on the My Love of Golf podcast, and I hope you enjoyed that chat with Jasper. Thank you very much.